Hello, everyone, and I just want to, first of all, thank everyone for coming, and we're going to try to get through this as quick as possible because I know it can be a long evening. So, first of all, I just want to talk about our wonderful executive director that we have, Mr. Ed Gaskin, and I'd just like for everyone to give him a round of applause. If it was not for Ed, we wouldn't be here. It's a lot of work to do something like this, and he's really grinded out, and I've been blessed enough to have the opportunity to step in right now as chairperson, and we're just excited about what's we're about to reveal to you guys. And just once again, when you see Ed out in the community, talk to Ed, reach out to Ed. I've been walking up and down in the community a little bit, going into some of the retail stores, and very excited about having the opportunity to work with some of the retailers and some of the POS programs that the city has to offer, and also speaking to our Hispanic community. We're working very closely with them, or starting to, so there's just a lot of great things happening, folks. With further ado, Mr. Ed Gaskin.
Don't leave me. You say it with me.
You did a good job, Ed.
All right. Oh, geez. I just ruined it. Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to talk a little fast or a little brief. I'm not sure which one. But I also want to recognize our at-large city councilor over there. That's hardly an acknowledgement. But anyway, so I have to say I'm very appreciative because you're in all these events, like 3 or 4 events a night, so I appreciate the fact that you've made time to be here. I thought you were only going to be represented in the book, so the fact that you made an effort, yes, I appreciate that. So,
Thank you.
all right, so everybody has a program book like this, and in it somewhere, if you flip through, there's a page that talks about highlights, and we're not going to go through all the highlights. I'm just going to mention a couple of them, but you can read them. So one of the big highlights for us in the last year was when we did Mass Innovation Nights. Mass Innovation Nights was a program where basically they launch new products and new companies each month, and they do it somewhere around the Boston area. And typically it's in Kendall Square, it's in the Seaport District, it's on 128, because typically a large technology company sponsors it. We thought that if you could be as far as Beverly, out to Worcester, something like that, that clearly you could do it in Grove Hall. So in the I think of 17 years, whatever that it's existed, it had never been in Grove Hall, never been in like the Dudley area. So we did the very first one in Grove Hall. Then the second thing was, we just didn't want it to have it in a different location. We wanted it to be different. So one of the things that we did is typically when you go to a technology event, there might be 1 or 2 persons of color there and everybody else is white. So that night, what we did is we had all the technology startups were all either African or African American. And all the experts, all the CEOs, all the experts were all African American as well. So as one person said, they had been to like 1,000 of these technology events, but as a white person, they had never entered a room where they were the minority. So here it was, we had 388 people who registered for that event. We had over 240 people actually attend. We invited the schools, kids were there. It was a great experience. And so for us, that was one of our highlights for last year. Another one of the highlights last year is if you notice the new park that's going in behind Flames and the restaurant. And that is something that, again, took a while. It was a community project. We worked with Grove Hall NDC, Project Right, ourselves, people in the community, and we had decided, we worked with Project with Public Places, and we had decided on the 13 places, that was the place that we most wanted to develop. But it really wasn't going anywhere. It was like one more study sitting on somebody's shelf, and year after year after year, we tried to push to get something done, and we had asked for originally about $29,000 to make some small renovations to the park. But I'm thankful to one of our honorees tonight, Pat over there. We're waving at you. the way the city works is you can't get money for other things unless you have like construction drawings and designs, whatever. So when they were redoing the parking lot, Pat basically included the pocket part as part of it in one scope of work. And so once we had the design drawings, then it made it possible to get funding for implementation. And even though it's different city agencies, because transportation owned the lot and D&D on the park, we were able to actually have different agencies work together because we got some choice money. And so what you're going to see finally is a project, instead of $29,000, is somewhere between $500,000 and $700,000. So huge thing. And then again, one of the things that you'll see is that we've been really trying to do more in the area of public art. According to the Boston Arts Commission, if you looked in their map, it said we had one piece of public art in all of Grove Hall. So we described it as a public art desert. So you probably would have noticed the new banners that we have. You probably noticed some of the utility boxes that were painted, like the Michelle Obama, Prince, Muhammad Ali. So, that. And we also, there was a $40,000 for some public art along the Quincy Geneva. And one of the things that we're going to show you tonight is an example of some of the stuff that we did with the public art. So those are three things. I can't go through every one. Everyone has its own story, but those are some of the highlights. So one of the things I do want to do, if I can,
Yes.
Where are our artists who did the artwork over here? All right, come on. So why don't you tell them a little bit about the art and do your unveiling?
I would like to thank Ed for mentoring me through the whole process. Actually, informing me that grant was available. So I applied for it and I got it. There's some autobiographical material, or at least there was, on the table. I had about 30 sets made. Looks like this. If you're able to get one, you're more than welcome.
All right, go ahead.
Okay.
Show us what you got over there.
Okay. I can't take this with me.
Can't read my phone, unfortunately. I wish we could.
I'll just talk louder. How's that? Good. This is Muriel Snowden. Her and her husband Otto created the Freedom House. She was a wonderful woman. She was a fighter.
Oh, he asked if you could lift it up because I can see them.
She's a fighter all the way up. Even when Roxbury, the community where she lived, started going a little downhill, she said, I will never leave. I'll never go anywhere. I'm going to stay here and fight. That's exactly what she did just for that. Wow. Anybody recognize this girl? I had two artists helping me. This artist was Ricardo Gomez. And he asked to do this particular one of John D. O'Brien because he went to that school. And if you're not familiar with him, he's the one that did that huge Nelson Mandela on Warren Street. Gorgeous work. I wish he was here tonight. I did 4 of the 6 paintings, and I had 2 fantastic artists help me out. This is Minister Don Muhammad. Fascinating to read their bio in the online, and as brief as I made his, it's unfortunate because I just don't want to give me one page, but there's so much more to his life that I encourage everybody to go and Google him and look him up. Anybody recognize that? I'm from the Bronx, and when I first came up here, I kept calling her Melina Cannon. She was another wonderful person. She was also one of the founders with Otto and Muriel of Snowden of the Freedom House. Okay, but she did so much more. I created a program called hand on the shoulders of giants. This is the second artist. His name is Percy Fortini Wright. Anybody recognize that person? Jimmy Jones. You can tell the distinctive styles. I wish I had more artists to work with because that's what I wanted. I want a variety of styles. Maybe we'll get one. This is my man. I want to show you what the banners are going to look like. And that's the thing. I would encourage you parents to get with your kids and look up the bios of all of these wonderful people because they fascinate me not only because of what they were able to achieve, but because they were our neighbors. You know, they were the man and the woman next door. And they were able to do so much. Some of them were very highly educated, some of them were not. But these are the people that I call giants.
Originally we were trying to do, that's like half of them, but we didn't get all the funding. But the idea is to come back and do another 12. And so when we reach out to you for support, it'll go to this project in particular. So this is one that we think is very reflective of the community, because a lot of people would say, they're looking for role models. I said, we already had role models. We already have people who've done all kinds of great things locally, right here in the community, people of color. And if we don't find a way to memorialize them, we'll forget them. And we'll start all over again, and we'll be looking for people when we already have all these people.
Yeah, absolutely.
The banners are going to go on different fences. We don't know the exact location yet. So anyway, what do you think about our public art?
Yeah. So we're going to wrap it up?
Yeah, so I got one more thing.
Okay.
So I want to acknowledge some of our city employees. If you're a city employee, stand up.
Yes. And acknowledge our board members.
You can do that.
Okay. All right. And just so that you guys know, you two gentlemen over there on the left-hand side, you guys stand up. These two guys up here, you guys come on up here. We got to let folks know what you're doing.
Now, see, the thing is, you guys may not realize how important they are. But when I first took the job here, I did this interview with the Boston Globe, and they asked me how was I going to deal with the challenges in the community, and I said, what challenges? And they said, the trash and the shootings. And I said, wow. I said, that's what they think of this community. But what I think is important is that these guys, I literally jumped out the car and said, these guys are the guys that clean the streets every day. Yeah. They go down, and so I know nobody likes the trash, nobody likes litter, nobody likes to see it, but these guys, I'm telling you, they're out there diligently, doesn't matter how hot it is. They're out there. So I just wanted to give them their due.
Yes. Thank you. And
now, Charlotte, you didn't say anything back there. Okay. Well, we want to acknowledge Charlotte because she's been helping us on a project that is going to have. It's one of the largest green infrastructure projects in the city. It's going to be in Grove Hall. It probably will take us a couple years to get done. Right. But thankful, Charlotte was the one that got us pointed in the right direction. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Charlotte. So moving right along, I just want to take a few minutes just to acknowledge our board members, and just want to say thank you for all your work. So all our board members, will you stand up, please? You guys? Give them a... And, thank you.
All right, let's call up John to give out the first award.
Okay, so John, we'd like to call you up here to give out the first award.
Thank you. And I would like to recognize Alan Edwards. Is Alan here?
All right.
Alan has been running Alan's Formal Wear right here in Grove Hall for over the last 50 years. It has been really a shining beacon. One of the most professional, always looks perfect. The customer service is just beyond anything, and I've gotten to know one of Alan's sons very well, and this is a star. His whole family is stars, honestly. They are such an asset to our community, and I'm so proud to be able to present Alan with an award this evening. It's not the first he's received. He's been such an important member of our community for so long, and I am so proud to present Alan this wonderful award.
You want to read this part? They all say the same thing at the top, but each one is different at the bottom.
I have to break out my glasses for that. For your significant achievement to the economic vitality of the greater Grove Hall community, Alan Edwards, inventor, entrepreneur, businessman, Alan's Formal Wear. Congratulations.
Sure, go ahead. Bob? Where's Bob Hector at? Come on.
And Bob Hector, come on up, and he has an award to present as well. And I'll just ask if you guys could just hold your applause until the end, and then we'll take a group picture, okay? And we'll move along very quickly that way.
Here, let me get this. Sorry. Oh, stand on that side.
Okay.
All right.
You can stand
So
over
you
here.
got to Evelyn.
Yeah.
Thank you.
A touch of class. That's the name of her saloon.
Salon.
Salon. That's what salon. Right. Anyway, she's been here for 53 long years. Right? They used to call her, and probably they still do, the Curl Queen. Teasing her. And I had admired her for a number of years, and that she's been out here. I'm not going to take up too much of your time, but Evelyn, that's her name, she's been through the range, she's gone to work, she's had pain. So Mrs. Johnson, come on down.
You want to read the last line?
Okay. This is for your significant contribution to the economic vitality of Greater Grove Hall community. Mrs. Johnson, the owner of Touch of the Class, the beauty industry and icon, and a businesswoman. Amen. Amen. There you go.
Patrick.
Okay.
Bruce was doing it.
Bruce Bickerstaff, come on up.
Our next honoree, whose name was mentioned earlier, is Mr. Patrick Hoey. Pat, I'd like to, if I may, is the senior transportation planner for the Boston Transportation Department, assigned primarily to the neighborhoods of South Boston, Dorchester, Roxbury, and Mattapan. Since 2007, his role as transportation planner for these areas, he's managed capital improvement projects, community planning initiatives, and Article 80 development projects. Major projects he's currently managing include redesign and reconstruction of Mendia Cass Boulevard, which I know has been a long time ongoing struggle. Looking for success there. The Dudley Square Complete Streets, and the build out of the South Boston Seaport. Without further ado, I would like to introduce and appreciate Patrick Hoey.
It says consistently dedicated and
Patrick Hoey, senior transportation planner, consistently dedicated to community service. I applaud you.
Thank you, Bruce.
Okay.
So, ask if anybody can pay the person's office.
Okay.
Ask if there is.
Is there anyone here from Ayanna Presley's office?
All right.
Okay.
Then I'll do the last one.
Okay. Then.
So Mary Lenny, whatever. Please come forward. So, I want to make sure everybody sees you, since you were just on the runway last week.
Oh my God.
Well, I just think that she's done fantastic. She started her business less than a year ago. She had the mayor there for the ribbon cutting. She's like the American dream. She's hit the ground running. She's been very helpful. Whenever we need space or try to do something, like we did a partnership for the Center of Women in Enterprise with Babson, and she volunteered her space with that. We did this whole financial checkup. We volunteered for that. She started a nonprofit in her son's name to help get kids off the street. And so just for somebody who's so dynamic and who's done so much in their first year of business, we just have to recognize her.
Yes. I do appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Oh, so it says community leadership and role model.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, that's it for the other one.
So once again, will you guys just give everyone a well round of applause? Yes. Good job. Okay.
So it's my privilege to have the opportunity to introduce our guest speaker. And what I'll say is, do people remember when the Seaport District was all a parking lot?
Yes.
Like I used to park there for $10 and walk into the city. And of course, you see what all the development has taken place since then. Well, that type of development is about to happen in the communities of color. And the issue is, are we going to have any more voice, participation, say-so into what happens in the community? And most people, when I talk to around development, they're like frustrated with the development process in terms of how it works on a number of different dimensions. And so it's like when you're on the phone sometimes with customer service and you're not getting anywhere. You think, well, maybe you need to talk to somebody else. So John Fish is this visionary, right? And I say visionary because who would wake up in the morning and say, you know what, I want to bring the Olympics to Boston? Like, I don't wake up thinking like that. Do you wake up thinking like that?
Absolutely.
There you go. And that's why you are who you are. All right. So,
Larger.
dream even larger. So not only sort of having this vision, but actually putting resources and capital and energy behind it to get Boston selected of all the cities in the world for this project. And so you think to yourself, if trying to work through the political process, whatever, isn't working, maybe we should talk to somebody else. And so I said, let's talk to John Fish. And so I was talking to people. I talked to Lisa Guscott. She said, oh, we know him very well. Him and my father, we didn't always agree, but great respect. Mm-hmm. Talked to Clayton Trumbull. He says he's my neighbor, and on and on and on. And I said, okay, perhaps since he's doing work, and again, just for those people who don't know, Suffolk Construction is a $3 billion company. He's doing work in Boston, he's doing work in New York, he's doing work in Miami, California. I was thinking maybe he's learned something from doing all these projects in different parts of the country that we could apply here, and again, do something that would be a different outcome. Because obviously we're not getting to where we want to get to doing what we've always done. And so, John, with that, we are dying to hear your vision, wisdom, insight, whatever you have to share with us on development in this community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I'd like to begin off by thanking Ed and Karen for the opportunity to speak to everybody this evening. It really is an honor and privilege to be here. We've been in Roxbury now for over 30 years, and we're right down the street in the Newmarket district. And I say this humbly, as I consider Roxbury my home. It has been great to us. We've formed some wonderful relationships with people, and the sense of appreciation our people have, both locally and nationally, for what our office and our people in our office stand for, is due to this community. And again, I want to thank each and every one of you from myself personally. Thank you very much. To try to give you a general sense of what I mean by committed to this community and investing in, more importantly, in the future, we're currently undergoing a $55 million renovation to our office building in the Newmarket district. We're putting on a 45,000 square foot addition. We're completely gutting and renovating 85,000 square feet. And that story was that about 5 years ago, we were going to move over to the Seaport district. We were looking at a piece of land. We had the land under agreement, and I sat down at that point in time with Mayor Menino, then right after that Mayor Walsh, and we sat and spoke. And I walked out of one of the meetings with Mayor Walsh, and I said to myself, you know, we've been in Roxbury for probably 25 years. Now is not the time to move out of Roxbury. Now is not the time to leave this community. Now is the time to make the biggest investment my company has ever made in itself to demonstrate our commitment to the future. And that's why we're here. In addition to that investment, we also have what is called a Boston Scholar Athletic Program. We started about 8-9 years ago. It's got a budget of about $6 million a year. We raise that. Myself, I give a large gift to it myself personally, but it's all about helping the inner city youth in Boston. We're the only nonprofit in the city that has these academic zones in 19 of the high schools in the city of Boston. We staff them, we support them with technology, and our goal is to take the underprivileged, underserved kids in our community, provide them with the scholastic support, college counseling, and comfort and security in the Boston Public Schools during the daytime. We also counsel some of the kids at nighttime as well, too, and on the weekends. We have over 50 people in our staff. It's a program that I'm very, very proud of. And the reason why we started that, for one of the reasons, I'm a severe dyslexic. I cannot spell past the second grade. You could never eat my handwriting. And what I do as a human being, I was well educated though, is I value education. And I understand the impact that education has on the youth of America today. And what we need to do as a community, we need to ensure, and it's a slang word, no children left behind. That's something this community has to go narrow and deep on, because that's something fundamental, not to today, but to the future of our community and the city of Boston. In addition to that, we have been also very, very fortunate to work in quite a few of the projects in this area. Not necessarily just Grove Hall, but the community of Roxbury. I mentioned our office building, which is one. The Kroc Center, which we were involved in, which I'm very proud of. On that project there, we had 53% minority participation on that job. 53% minority participation. We had over 55% of the people working on that job from the community as well, too. Now, I don't stand here today and tell you that happens in every single job, but it's a commitment that we do our best on, because we do understand every dollar that we invest in this community, there's a tenfold return. Every dollar we invest in downtown Boston, there's a twofold return. As a businessman, where do you want to put your dollars and cents? It's right here. And we need to make sure the people of our city of Boston understands what that means. I'd like now to take a moment and just talk briefly about Grove Hall. Grove Hall, as all of us in this room know, is probably the most ethnically diverse community in our city. And I say that with a sense of pride, because I think the people in this room and in this community are very, very proud of that, which you should be, because this is what the world should look like, and it doesn't, unfortunately. But what we have to do, we have to continue living the dream that each and every person that got one of these awards tonight is living. And people need to understand that it can be them receiving those awards someday if they believe in the future of Grove Hall and the leadership that this organization has put forth. When I think about the assets that are here and juxtapose those or compare them to other parts of the community, think about the zoo. There's no place in our city that has something like this zoo. You think about Franklin Park. You think about White Stadium, and I want to come back to White Stadium. You think about the Mecca Hall, the shopping, drugstore, clothing store, safe environment for people to go to. Think about the public transportation, the Fairmont line. Think about the idea of what Ken and Lisa Gus got. We need 7 more Ken Gussets, what they've done to this community. Okay? Those are the stories that need to be told. And for some reason, as a member of this community, we don't hear them as loud as we should. And you stop and you pause and you wonder why. I don't stand here tonight and have an answer for you, but I'm curious about that. I'm curious. And everybody in the community should be curious about that. There is no doubt everybody here should be extremely proud of where we've come over the last 25 years. It is absolutely amazing when you take a step back, but we don't see that on the front of the Globe headlines, do we? What do we hear? We hear about shootings. We hear about robberies. We hear about other stories that aren't as flattering as they should be, to be perfectly honest with you. We need to try to change that narrative around a little bit. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about that tonight. I say to myself, when we think about everything, I always try to put things into perspective and how does it affect me and the people that are around me. The biggest universal word used today in the globe is disruption. And everybody has a different definition of what disruption means. But in my life, in my world, everything's being disrupted. There's no such thing as certainty and predictability today. You can look at that as a glass half full, or you can look at that as a glass half empty. Look at nationally. Business. Look what Amazon's doing to everybody. The good and the bad, when you take a look at that. Think about politics. I look at politics as we're going through this disruptive phase. Trump is about disruption. It's nothing more than that. We didn't, as Americans, all of us, elect Donald Trump. Okay? That was a mandate for change. That's what that was about. Okay? I didn't vote for that man. I'm sure people in this room didn't vote for that man. Okay? But what it speaks to, we have political disruption going on in our world right now. And we have to understand that. And the question is, what are we going to do about that? You think about Russia. You think of what's going on globally right now in North Korea as disruption. You think about the height of racism right now and the highest economic environment we've been in the last 25 years, and there never has been more polarization between the haves and the have-nots. In my opinion of that whole thing, a person that's been the beneficiary of a strong economy, okay, if we don't deal with that, it's going to deal with us. Okay? And I'm not running for office. I'm not a politician. But I will tell you, I care about the underprivileged, underserved. And we have to think about that as a community and come together. Not with guns, but with conversation. And think about what can we do locally. Think about the opioid crisis. Okay? I drive to work every single day. My office is on Magazine Street and Russell Street, right in the heart of where that is. Okay? And I drive by where those poor individuals sleep, eat, and try to survive. And I say to people, those people don't want to be there. That's what the confusing part of this whole conversation is. And what are we doing as a society to help those people that can't help themselves? Also, think about real estate development. This is something we can control and we can have an impact on. What has happened is urban renewal. I don't buy it. I call it gentrification. I call it people moving out of our community, being forced out of our community. And I will say to you, the administration, the city council, they're all aware of that. And there's no doubt in my mind, they're doing everything they possibly can as government to make a difference. Our mayor, who I enthusiastically support, cares deeply about this community and the city of Boston. But what we have to do with our community is we have to figure out how we don't be disrupted, how we are the disruptor. And let me give you 3 thoughts. I want to start by saying this. When I walked in this evening, I was very fortunate. I had probably a dozen people at different points in time come up and speak to me with some very, very, very thoughtful conversation, ideas, and visions. Okay? What came to my mind as I was working on my comments over the weekend, that may be some of the symptoms that we're dealing with here in Grove Hall. And people may not want to listen to what I'm saying, but I'm going to put it on the table. Too many thoughts and too many ideas. To be successful in anything you do, your personal life, your professional life, your marriage, you only can work on 1, 2, and if you're great, 3 things. If you really want to go narrow and deep and effectuate change. Most human beings try to cover the gambit. They play every single of the 52 cards in the deck, and they wonder why they don't win. I was one of those persons. Okay? I wanted to conquer the world. Didn't know how to do it. But I'll tell you, I was going to outwork anybody. And I work long hours, 17, 18 hours a day. I'm an addict. I'm an OCD guy. I love what I do. I'm passionate. Okay? I'm not going to deny it to you. Because I want to make a difference. And I want to give back. But the first advice I can give anybody, not just this group, okay, is come together. Okay? Come together. Build consensus. Establish a master plan, a strategy that everybody in this room can buy into. What are the 1, 2, or 3 things that you want to accomplish putting a stake in the ground in the next 24 months? Put everything else as background noise. Get the different voices in this community that are out there and have them sit at one table and look at the options that are available and say, what can we do? What is realistic under the circumstances? And I'm going to throw a little curveball at you. Not that's going to impact your community tomorrow. What's going to impact your community for your children and your grandchildren. Okay? The die's cast, whether you like it or not. Okay? And to me, my role at 57 years old is what can I do for the next... My kids are going to be fine. What can I personally do? And if you read about me, you find out that I put my money where my mouth is. Okay? Because I believe in bringing people together to try to build consensus. Because I believe in people having a dream. But you can only have 1, 2 dreams at a time. And you got to come together as a community. You have to be intensely disciplined and say, what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? If you're able to establish what your value proposition here is Grove Hall, and we're going to put aside our personal projects, and we're going to come together as a team and put our energy and effort on these 1, 2, or 3 things, and we're going to go to the city, and we're going to say, Mr. Mayor, city councilors, these are 1 of the 2 things that we would like to partner with you. Not we're going to demand. Not we're going to demand. We're going to earn, and you're going to work with us, and we're going to bend over backwards and demonstrate and show you we're going to provide the leadership that can make a difference in our community for our next generation. In that conversation, we're going to talk about issues of tax incentives of this zone. How do we attract business and families to come to this area? How do we define this area? Don't worry about the parts of Boston. You're worried about your backyard, your neighborhood. This is a neighborhood of people that care about each other. What are those things we want to do? Again, very, very narrow and very, very deep that can make an impact on your children in the next generation. Then how do we talk about a comprehensive marketing plan, Ed? How do you take some money? We're going to do 1, 2, or 3 things. We have to sell it. We have to sell it. What's the value that's being created by those 1, 2, or 3 things? And those 1, 2, or 3 things may be, to be honest with you, a beautiful playground that I was involved in building over here next to the park here. It might be some other type of amenity that's going to attract people. It might be a boys club and girls club expansion that needs to be done for the kids. I don't know what it is. You in this room know what it is. But think about how it can improve the quality and safety of people's lives. Okay? I said to myself, thinking about this coming over, I'm not a marketing person, it's playing. What's the 22nd century Grove Hall open for business all about? What is the 22nd century Grove Hall open for business all about? And just think about that. I don't know. But those are the conversations we should be having as a family, as a community here in Grove Hall. Secondly, as I mentioned before, in order to put this together, you can't have disparate voices out there. You can't have people having sidebar conversations, going into City Hall or going to city councilors and saying, we need this, don't worry about that. We need to come together. And that really, really takes leadership. And you have the potential to do that. You have the infrastructure to make that happen. And lastly, once you put this plan together, and I'm not talking about the entire plan, I'm talking about what are the most important things that you want to make a difference on, that you want to announce to the community, and you want to announce to City Hall, and ask them for support. Then we want to start building relationships. Who are the people that we need to know, that we need to ask for help? Now, why am I talking about this narrow and deep? Because life is all about momentum. There's positive momentum and there's negative momentum. Okay? If you put 1 or 2 things in front of you, and you start putting points up on the board, and you start realizing some successes, success becomes contagious. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And what it does, success builds community. Failure tears apart community. A community like Grove Hall, who care about its future, has all the potential in the world to do anything you want. Forget about what's happened in the past. I would close by saying this. I would commit to this group here that I will try to help you. And what I will do, I'll start out by giving Ed $25,000 if he wants it. To start the conversation. If you have a second conversation and it goes the next step and you're making progress, I'll give you another $25,000. If you make the third step, whatever those steps are, I'll give you another $25,000. And when you tell me you're ready to declare victory on a plan that makes sense and the city buys up, I'll give you another $25,000. So what I'm going to ask tonight, I'm going to ask the executive director to come up with a plan. And $100,000 is not going to solve our problem here tonight. Don't, it's not. Let me tell you something. It's not. It's a pimple. It's a lot of money. It's a pimple. Trust me. Okay? All I'm trying to say is I believe in this community. I wouldn't make the investments that I'm doing. Okay? I can't solve your issues or my issues individually. You have to do it as a team. Okay? It's the only way we're going to solve the challenges in the street is with a team. The only way we're going to solve the opioid issues is a team. Stop pointing fingers and stop blaming each other. And listen, we all own it. We created what we're in right now. Okay? I don't care who you are. You're all part of it. Okay? The question is, what are we going to do about it? So I'll ask you, and what I'm going to ask you to do is come back to me with a plan. Your chair approves of. put 4 different milestones along the way. Don't say week to week. I'm talking about a real plan. Okay? And I'll fund that plan along the way. And I'm assuming that plan is going to take about a year or so, a year and a half, whatever the case may be, to build consensus. Okay? And I gave you my plans. Okay? I want to close by saying this. And I'm speaking from the heart. I don't know a lot of you people in this room. Okay? I'm the luckiest son of a bitch in the world. Okay? Okay? I'm the luckiest son of a bitch in the world. Okay? And I try to do what I can for the people that aren't as fortunate, as lucky as I am. And a lot more people in the world are much more lucky than I am. It's all relative. It's all relative. But I believe in this community. I wouldn't make the investments. I wouldn't stay if I didn't. And I really, really, really care deeply about your kids and the next generation. Okay? Because at the end of the day, I'm going to tell you something. That's what it's all about. God bless you all.
Wow, that was amazing. Thank you for your time, and you better believe we're going to hold you to it. So, first of all, I just want to once again thank everyone for coming. It was thank Ed Gaskin for taking the charge to go out and get Mr. Fisk. We greatly appreciate it. And we're going to do something a little different here this year. Our guest speaker, we decided that we wanted to hold on to him once we got him into Grove Hall, because, you know, folks come in and out and then they leave and they take and they never give back. So I got a little surprise for you. We decided that, come on up here, come on. We decided the way that we're going to keep you in Grove Hall is you got to deal with me too.
Yes, so. I can sense that.
We're going to start off the morning at the Franklin Park Zoo. Passes for 4. You can bring your family along too if you like. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So after you finish at Franklin Park, we're going to wear you out a little bit more. We're going to play around the golf for 4 at the Franklin Park Golf Course. All right?
Thank you very much.
And then after that, we're going to go over to Flames and have a little lunch. And then after that, we're going to take you to Merengue and get it on. So we're going to make sure we hold him accountable. And I want you guys to hold Greater Grove Hall Main Street accountable. We have a great group of folks. We're working hard. It's not easy. And we really, really need to get a round of applause to Ed Gaskin, you guys. You guys just don't know. And if we can get the board up, everybody up. First of all, I just want to say thank you guys for coming. And please feel free to reach out to the board. We have Sister Virginia, Eddie Jenkins, John Lennon, excuse me, Bruce Bickerstaff, and a slew of other ones around, everybody else. Okay? Well, thanks for coming, everybody.